when you are developing your own power offer, like you have to think, how can you appeal to the two types of currencies that your audience has? Time currency and money currency, right? And time is way more valuable, especially to high ticket buyers, than money. If you can incorporate some form of urgency and time element into your offer, I promise you it will attract better leads and more qualified leads into your pipeline.
This is an intro. Intro.
Hustle and Flow Chart with your boy, my boy, Matt Wolf and Joe Fier.
Hey.
Welcome back.
Dude, we're bringing round 2 to the table with Joel Erway.
Round deuce.
Throw it down.
Round deuce.
Round deuce.
And today we're talking about power offers.
Ooh.
I'm not going to explain what those are because Joe will, but they're really, really, really effective.
They are.
Extremely effective and really simple. Like you could set up a power offer in like a minute and a half maybe.
And it's probably a little bit of shift in your mind or in the way you're thinking about, bringing your sales and leads in.
Yes.
That's what a power offer will do. You'll learn.
And we're also talking about mini webinars.
Oh, mini webinars.
They're like webinars, but minier.
Minier, like really minier, like 10 minutes minier.
Yes.
Like
yes.
that's really mini. So I don't know if, do those work?
They seem to be pretty damn effective. I mean,
are they good for testing a new offer or launching something new? Or
well, let's ask those questions to Joel.
Okay, that's for him. So Joel Erway, he has been on the podcast before. It was back in 2018, I think is what you looked up, November. So a long time ago. Things have evolved, changed. I mean, webinars from that episode still absolutely work. So
Studios have changed.
Studios have definitely changed. But point I'm saying here is that's a great episode. If you have not listened to that one, he dives deeper into the long form webinars.
Yes.
So if you're looking for that, go there after this webinar because this one is definitely a unique model that I've never heard anybody else talk about. And so Joel runs the webinar agency. That's where they actually do all this stuff for you. But guess what? Joel is literally going to give you the full blueprint right here.
Yes,
so,
he is. So grab the notes.
That's right.
Go to flowchartgroup.com. When you go to flowchartgroup.com, you can join our Facebook group. And when you join the Facebook group, one of the questions is your email address. If you enter the email address, we will send you the action guides to our most recent episodes. So if you go to that site within 2 weeks, flowchartgroup.com, you'll get the notes for this episode. If you do it outside of 2 weeks, well, then newer episodes will have overwritten it. So make sure you do it quickly. Go to flowchartgroup.com, join the group, get on the list. We'll send you the action guides and hook you up. Let's go talk to Joel.
Woo! That was a lot, Matt.
Yeah.
That was a mouthful.
That was a mouthful.
All right.
Never mind. I won't go there.
Of course.
Let's go to Joel instead.
All right. Round 2 is live. Joel, great to have you back, my friend. How you doing?
I'm fantastic, guys. I am super stoked to be back in your beautiful studio. I'm honored that you redesigned it just for me.
Just for you, my man. We're breaking it open. I mean, I'm just going to say you did it for us as well on your end. It looks beautiful.
I've been waiting a long time, and I knew that this was going to be the perfect opportunity for us to join the beautiful studios together and just wow the world.
Coast to coast, right? I'm digging. I think it's a curved TV above your head. Is that what that is?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
So
is there
funny
a story
around that. So as we were talking before, like this was an 8-month project that I had planned a weekend for. I'm like, okay, I'll do this over a weekend and we'll get it, we'll get this new studio built, and turned out to be 8 months. But so that monitor that you see in the background is a ultra wide curved, like $1,200 Samsung monitor that I originally bought because I'm like, okay, I'm also going to be super productive. So I was going to use that as my main monitor for my operating, computer.
Yep.
And I put it on the desk. I'm like, this is too freaking big. Like it's enormous. I'm like, I can't use it. I have no room for anything else. And I even got like a desk mount so I had desk space, and it was just too big. So I'm like, you know what? It'll probably look cool if I just put it like as as part of my set. But
it's like taking immersing yourself in your work to a whole new level with that. It's just like you look to the sides and it's everywhere.
It's like one of those the newscasters, they always have like a nice scenery behind them that's like a live cam. You could do that with yours. It basically blows up your whole wall there.
No, it's
perfect.
Yes. Eventually I do want to turn it on.
Yes.
But I did run power behind the wall, and I have a desktop actually hooked up to it. But of course, as soon as I went to go turn it on, something's wrong with the desktop. Like it just doesn't turn on. So I'm like, oh God, like here we go. Another project that I have to go get fixed.
Yeah, another weekend project.
Yeah, you should do webinars and have little like thought bubbles pop up above there. Like, this is what I'm thinking, and just like because it's like right above your head.
Here we go.
Yeah,
that's good.
Does that work?
Yeah.
We'll use that the screenshot for
That actually looks like
episode.
every YouTube thumbnail. What you just did there.
So the YouTube the thumbnail is always like always screaming. Like, what?
It's just some bored person with their iPhone doing weird. Oh man, I mean, so webinars is your jam. I mean, let's. I guess we'll get people into what we're actually going to chat about. We'll bounce around. I want to circle back and see how the studio is going to play a part in what you're doing too. But we had you back on in the 100s of our episodes. I don't know. That felt like prehistoric days or something for us. So it's been a couple years at least. But it's great to have you back because you've been doing amazing things. Again, like an evolution in webinars. Last time we were chatting, obviously, about webinars. We went deep diving into all sorts of ways that you can use those. But now you have a newer concept, mini webinars and power offers, and you have some other lingo you'll probably share along the way. But we were told by many friends, I think it was Roland Frazier, Brad Costanzo, they're like, okay, Joel's got something cool going on here, and we had to bring it back on. Because we got to share it, man. So
yeah,
give us the scoop, I guess, since what's this evolution from webinars? Because there's got to be a story there and how these things came around.
Yeah, we can talk about the evolution of the transition, I guess. We still do. So, right, when you think about webinars, most people are like, the 1 to 2 hour long webinar where you give some content. At the end, you have a pitch, right?
Yeah.
Those still work. We still do them. We are the webinar agency, right? But probably back in 2000, so I launched the webinar agency in 2014, and that was my only focus from 2014 to 2016 was those long form webinars, right? Mm-hmm. And I ran my own webinars. So we did them for clients, we did them for myself. And I started to see a lot of like the game was changing, like the rules were changing when it comes to paid ads. So those were all the criteria that we did: paid ads to webinars to sales, right? Mm-hmm. And paid ads kept getting more expensive. Webinars were getting more difficult to make profitable. Webinars, the success of webinars heavily depend on the market that you're going after. Mm-hmm. Some markets, they will work. Other markets, they will not work. And so in 2016, I was struggling with my own webinar. We were profitable. We were selling a high ticket program. So it was webinar to an application to a phone sale to sell our group coaching program. Mm-hmm. So we were making money with it, but I knew from all the stats that I saw with other people's webinars that like we were severely pushing the boulder uphill. Mm-hmm. Like the numbers were not anywhere close to what KPI looked like. And so I started exploring different avenues. Like I needed to get more leads out of my calendar. I needed to sell more services. I needed to sell more coaching. And, we were struggling. So I started to toy around. Actually, I'll back up even more. What was I'll share a book with you guys, with your audience, because the book that changed the game for me was How to Create Irresistible Offers by Robert Bly. I don't know how he goes by on that book, but search for it. It's a great book. And there's a chart in the first 6 pages that talks about the importance of offers. And there are many different types of offers. There are lead gen offers. There are direct to sale offers. There are tons and tons of different offers. But in that chart, Bob is also an engineer by trade, so he is very technical. And so like I show this chart all the time. Like I've got a book coming out, I show this chart, and it was the performance degradation of your content or a performance degradation of your offer as brand content increases and offer content decreases. So that's a lot of mumbo jumbo. And I don't know why it stuck out to me when I read it, because it's very easy to gloss over.
Well, let's unpack
but essentially what he was saying was your cost per sale is lowest when you are more direct with your offer and your promise. And your cost per sale will be higher the more brand driven your content is. So to kind of like dumb it down into layman's terms for internet marketers, right? if you're running lead generation funnels, your cost per acquisition is probably going to be much, much higher. If you're running sales driven funnels, your cost per acquisition is going to be lower because, go figure, direct response marketing, you are being upfront with your promise, you're being direct, cost per acquisition is going to be lower. And that was the huge light bulb moment for me, because my offer at the time was a coaching program to show people how to use webinars to grow their business. And the way that I was acquiring customers was, run an ad, free webinar, right? Teach them about webinars, show them why webinars are a great opportunity, and then at the end, make them a pitch. So after I saw that chart, it was a huge light bulb moment for me that said, you know what? There's probably a huge segment of my marketplace that does not need the education on why webinars are great for them. And I'm probably missing out on a huge segment of my audience that's either actively building their webinar, or they've built a webinar and they've tried and failed, or they know they want a webinar, but they just hate the thought of getting it built. So that chart that Bob shared, if I just flip my webinar on its head, which at the end I make the offer, it's like, why don't I lead with the offer and go after that audience that is already educated on webinars? Like, I wonder how that's going to be. So I was literally reading that book in bed. It was like 11 o'clock at night, and I was going through a rough time in the agency. Like, I needed to get clients. We had just moved into a brand new house. The house was 3 times more expensive than our previous home. So living expenses went up. We just had our first child. So like, stress was at an all-time high for me. And I'm like, I got to get more clients. So this was really the birth of the power offer, and the mini webinar comes after this. But so I ran downstairs, fired up my laptop, and I'm like, I'm going to create a power offer. I didn't call it a power offer. I'm going to create an offer and just see what happens. I'm like, okay. So the first version of my power offer was born that night. So at like 11:30, I typed up this post. I said, if I offered to, write you a webinar, I've done a couple of versions. One was writing you an offer, a webinar in 24 hours or less, guaranteed to convert. Would you take me up on that offer? Right. So it was a variation of that, but it was very direct. And that next day I had a flood of applications coming in. I had a flood of responses, and I closed 2 $25,000 projects that day, like within 24 hours. I'm like, there is something here. So that first version went out to my internal list, and I'm like, well, why don't I just run ads to this? And so I took that, drove paid traffic to it, and I went from paying $450 per application with my webinar funnel, my long form webinar funnel, my education lead magnet funnel, and my cost per application dropped to like $30 or $40. So I had a 90% cost reduction in paid ads, or in application costs, by flipping it on its head. And so that was in 2016. We've since built on that and learned a ton around, what to do, what not to do, and how to optimize that sales process. But that was really the birth of this sales funnel that we are now using in contrast to, the marketing funnel of what a long form webinar is. And so I know there's kind of a lot to digest there. I just threw a bunch of, dictionary terms in the dictionary of Joel, but I'm trying to, not complicate things. And that was my best explanation.
I think
best
that's
attempt.
Well,
let's put it that way.
Yeah, no, I think it's a big one, because you're approaching it in a whole different way. You're not applying the marketing before the sales. I mean, you are, but it's not like you're layering it with thick marketing, 80% marketing, 20% sales, let's say, like a lot of internet marketers or digital marketers will do. There's a lot of folks that are probably, problem aware, even solution aware. And maybe you're just kind of jumping right up there, right?
Yeah.
You're 100%, like, you nailed it, man. Like, what we are going after is we're going after the solution aware market. So let me throw some more caveats at you for any, because, you have an internet marketing, a marketing audience, this sales funnel that we built is not meant to like scale to the moon. Why? Because we're only targeting the smallest segment of the market. But what we do, so a huge chunk of my audience is, they're launching a new high ticket offer, right? Because this is a call funnel. It's meant to get people on the phone to sell, any type of, high end offer. So we are going after that audience, that my audience, they need help validating their offer. And a lot of times what they do is they will build a long form webinar, or they'll build any number of different types of funnels without actually validating their offer. And that was the mistake that so many people make. It's like, no, you need to validate your offer first. It's not going to scale you to multiple seven figures. Mm-hmm. There are the rare instances that we've worked with people that have gone on to those levels with the mini webinar funnel, but it is not the norm. What this is meant to do is to help you validate your offer, which is the most important element in your business, and push that as far as you can with paid traffic until you start to see the numbers, not make sense. But bare minimum, we want to be shooting for at least 4x return on ad spend with this offer. And then take that to 30K a month, 50K a month, 80K a month, however far you can take it. But eventually you're going to hit a choke point where you need to open up the throttle a little bit and go after your problem aware and your unaware market, right? Mm-hmm. And that's where marketing funnels come in. So then we stack either a long form webinar now that you know so much more about your audience, what offer is validated. So you can take that offer that we've already developed, bolt that onto the back of a long form webinar, and it'll be infinitely more effective. But, I just always say that because I don't want to ruffle the marketing world's feathers and say that marketing doesn't work. It's no, it's just develop your sales funnel first, then develop your marketing funnels to feed into that sales funnel. And that is how we've been approaching new offers since 2016.
I was going to ask, so with the power offer, I understand what your power offer was with the, if I build the webinar for you in, 24 hours, that's guaranteed to convert. So how would you define a power offer? What are the elements that need to go into a power offer to make it a power offer?
Great question. So your power offer has to be, it's all promise focused, right? Mm-hmm. And so, you have to make sure it's compliant with whatever ad network that you're running on. But the main elements that we focus on for a power offer is, number one, that primary promise has to, I'll back up too, because we design power offers so they run to cold traffic. And if you can get something to convert with cold traffic, it'll work with any other channel, whether it's networking, whether it's social media. And people have to understand that's how we think. So if they're working with us, I always like to think, how can I get cold traffic to convert? Mm-hmm. And that takes a special way of thinking, because you have to appeal to a surface level desire that is going to get somebody to stop the scroll, click through, and take action, right?
Yep.
So assuming that we were thinking in terms of, going to cold traffic, a cold audience, your primary promise has to have some form of urgency incorporated. Mm-hmm. It has to be specific, and it has to solve an immediate pain. So, for instance, the example that I've got here, which is, that 1 to 2 sentence ad, building a webinar in 24 hours, guaranteed to convert, without you knowing, without you needing to know what to say or how to say it. That's a sales message. That's everything that's in the back of somebody's mind with writing a webinar. That's everything. Mm-hmm. That's a sales pitch, crunched down in 25 words or something like that, or 14 words. And so, when you are developing your own power offer, you have to think, how can you appeal to the two types of currencies that your audience has? Time currency and money currency, right? Mm-hmm. And time is way more valuable, especially to high ticket buyers, than money. And so if you can incorporate some form of urgency and time element into your offer, I promise you it will attract better leads and more qualified leads into your pipeline. And so I don't know if that answered your question, but it's essentially getting as specific as possible with your end result, and just putting that out there. That's really what the power offer is, and our framework helps mold it, but that's really in essence what it is.
Well, it seems like a really good philosophy for anybody to obviously test a new offer, but even if someone's just trying to reinvent themselves, maybe right now, especially maybe their offline business or some variation of their business tanked during COVID, let's say, as an example, but like this can be, okay, well, you can kind of test a new coaching business or a consulting offer, something that is, let's say, 10K or up. And, like you said, validate it first. Maybe validate it with the market that you already have control or, attention of, or even run a cold traffic ultimately. Where would you recommend folks to start to present their offer initially?
All depends on their current situation. So I was down in, I don't know if you guys know Rob Cosberg. He runs Bestseller Pub. Yep. So
sure.
I was down in St. Augustine. We bought a condo down there, a rental condo. And Rob just moved down there. And so we hooked up and I did a training for Rob's audience on the power offer. And, I've known Rob for probably 5 years now, and he knows my stuff, but it was the first time that he got to spend like an hour learning about the power offer for me. And so afterwards, he launched a power offer to his list, and he sold 20 spots of a $6,000 offer with one single Facebook post using the power offer.
Love it.
And so if you have an existing list, right, leverage it. I mean, like that's, it goes without saying, like if that is a huge asset that you've got. And we have countless stories of people running power offers to their list, even without a mini webinar. Just run a power offer to your list, gauge interest, hop on the phone and close those deals. I don't even think Rob got on the phone with those people. Like he put the price right in his power offer as a 6K offer. And over the course of the next couple of days, he knocked in 20 people, sold out that beta offer. And it was incredible.
Wow.
So if you have an existing list, definitely use it.
Yeah.
But if you want to validate a brand new offer, you don't have a list, like that's what we teach too. Like, we say run paid ads to it, because you're going to know right away, very, very quickly, if people want this or not. And that's the best type of feedback that you can get. Even if they don't want it, like that's incredibly valuable than trying to build all of your marketing assets to warm people up and give them an offer that nobody wants.
Sure.
So, spend a couple $100 running this to paid traffic, validate that offer, and you'll have much better data than trying to build all these marketing assets to sell something that nobody wants.
Yeah. Well, I like it just for the fact that you can pay for data. You don't have to guess and assume, oh, this is what I think they have, because I've read enough forums and all this. And it's like, no, just pay for it. Like you said, invest a couple $100. And ideally, lead costs are going to be much lower than the big webinars, and they will be because they're super targeted ads. And just, listen to your folks, get feedback as much as possible. And ideally it's sales or feedback, is the feedback that you're getting, that is.
Well, what I also love about this too is you don't have to go and build landing pages and funnels and write a whole ton of copy and, go round up affiliates and do all of the other stuff that goes into launching a product. You could kind of put a feeler out there, and if nobody really bites at it, go, okay, that wasn't it, and try something else.
Right.
It's funny because, I was having an intake call with, one of my mentorship members, I think it was last week. And this dude's a brilliant marketer. He's been in the game for at least 10 years. He's certified with Ryan Levesque and his Ask program. And I was talking to my client last week, and so he launched his mini webinar, his power offer funnel, and like he made the number one mistake. Like he made the number one mistake that I preach from the mountaintops. Like he took my power offer, like he took what he thought was a power offer, and he took my mini webinar funnel, and he didn't develop a sales funnel. He developed a lead gen funnel. He's like, so it looks the same, but like his message was, hey, download my cheat sheet. I'm like, dude, that's not a sales funnel. That's a lead magnet. Like, have you learned nothing? He's like, I'm sorry, Joel. I'm a marketing mind. I'm not a sales guy. And I'm like, oh, like, so something clicked when he said that. I'm like, oh, like, he's like, yeah, I mean, like you help create offers, but I know how to extract all the marketing data behind it. I do this with the deep dive surveys and what. I'm like, oh, that makes total sense, because there are a lot of people who try and extract, an offer from marketing data. And that's not like it's two completely different things. And like I've been parts of other marketing programs. They tell you to do all sorts of different, like, data collection and whatnot. I'm like, man, like I can't go through, like, I don't have the attention span to go through all that stuff. And like I know it works, but like, dude, I just launch offers and I get them to tell me if they want it or not. But what made me realize on that call with Russell, my client, I'm like, they go hand in hand. Like one is for market research. Like what are their pains? Like what are they currently trying? What have they tried and failed? Like that's all your marketing data.
Yeah.
But that's not how you develop an offer, because a lot of times people don't know what they want to buy until you present it to them. Yeah. And that's why you need to be great at making offers, which is a completely different skill set than researching a market and finding out what their pain points are. Because you can have everyone, you can have 4 different offers solving the same pain point, and you're not going to extract your solution from the market research. So a little bit of a tangent, but it was a big aha moment for me last week when I was talking to my client.
That's huge. And I'm just thinking, how about folks that have an offer right now that might not be a high ticket offer or a 10 grand, or let's say 6K and up, if we're taking Rob Kosberg's approach. What if someone has like maybe their highest offer is like $500? Like, is there some kind of strategy they can take what they have already and build it into a program that fits this model?
So is your question along the lines of how to develop a high ticket offer, or is it how to take the power offer framework and sell a lower ticket?
It's more the high ticket, like, so to get them to the ability to sell something 6K and up, let's say. So developing a high ticket offer. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is kind of what we teach in our program, high ticket courses. In getting a let's say a coach or a course creator or somebody who runs a membership site, who has been ingrained in the beliefs of, running the low ticket business, right? It actually takes a lot more work on my part to convince them to go high ticket. They have to go, what I've discovered over the past 4 years of talking with many of these people is that in order for them to convince themselves to go high ticket, they have to be living in some sort of pretty deep pain and trying a lot of different things with the low ticket route in order to say, okay, I think I need to go high ticket. So converting your program to high ticket is not difficult. It's actually more just mental than it is anything else. Your market does have to play in it too, right? I mean, if you are selling to a consumer market that just isn't used to buying high ticket, you're going to have a lot of difficulty there as well. Right. Like if you're in, I'm trying to give an example here. Like arts and crafts, right? You're selling a course on, how to, how to do crocheting, right? Well, it's gonna be pretty difficult to go high ticket. Or a cooking school, right? How to make Italian foods. I mean, so it has to serve a market that is willing and able to pay a higher ticket price point. We define high ticket as like $1,500 and up or $2,000 and up. So if you want to go high ticket, you have a low ticket course, and let's say you are in one of those markets that is like consumer focused, well, think about how you can pivot your market a little bit and be more valuable. So let's take the cooking school or the cooking example, right? If you teach people how to build these certain cuisines and you want to go high ticket because you realize like it's extremely difficult to build a full business model selling really, really low ticket stuff. Well, okay. Well, maybe if, who else would find that skill set valuable? Okay. Well, what if they're a chef, right? And they want to break into the Italian market because they're higher paying jobs or whatever. I don't know if this is true or not, but this is how I would think. Like I'm trying to take my skill set and apply it to a business owner who might be able to take that skill set and make money with it. And this doesn't always have to be make money, but like just going through my thought process, like who else can take value in my skill set and is willing to pay a higher ticket price point. So a second example would be for a client that I worked with a while ago. He wanted to teach he wanted to create a high ticket program to teach college students how to get better grades. And I'm like, dude,
it's gonna be
college
tough.
students are broke, man. Like they are, and a lot of them don't really care about good grades. I mean, like, he's like, well, I've got this awesome study method. Like, I'm sure you do. Like, I'm sure it works. But like, if you're going to be running ads to this program and, number one, they're probably not the buyer. Their parents are probably going to be the buyer, right? So you have like two conversations you have to have. Like, there's just a lot of uphill battles that you have to focus on here. So we went through this exercise of like, who else would find your study method valuable? I said, is this like, can anybody learn? Like, can anybody have success with this study method? He's like, well, yeah, just about everyone. I'm like, okay, well, who would find studying or your method extremely valuable? And I'll kind of give you the short answer here just for time purposes. And we ended up uncovering like, okay, well, there are plenty of professionals out there who have to pass these certification exams. And if they pass these certification exams, then they instantly get a promotion. So there's lots of opportunity to help those types of people, right? They need to study for these tests. They're extremely difficult. And if they pass it, it could make a $50,000 per year difference in their paycheck. And so he's like, oh, I see now. And so like, there's just, you got to think differently when you are trying to go high ticket or trying to, transform your offer into a high ticket offer. And there's a lot more that goes into it, but like, hopefully those examples were helpful.
Yeah. And it's framing that result as like in this example, the result is you're going to make more money. Whereas the college student, it's like, great, you're going to get better grades for what? To get a degree that you probably don't really believe in that much or you're going to use actually. So yeah, no, it's great to think of the end result. And that's the problem aware again, right? Like it gets into like, oh, we'll make it stupid obvious to the person when you're presenting it initially, like you need this thing, it's unique, and this is the promise. You said it's very promise focused, and you just present the offer. So should we talk about webinars, because we haven't really the mini webinar concept?
Unless you had something along those lines. I was going to shift into mini webinars. So let's just define the difference between what most people think of webinars and a mini webinar.
Cool. When you think webinars versus mini webinars, we've kind of hinted at this a little bit earlier. Like you have to understand they are two different animals, two different purposes, right? So there are lead generation funnels and there are sales funnels. Okay. So lead generation funnel is, what the technical lingo is called as MQL. So it's going to attract marketing qualified leads. Which essentially is someone who's a marketing qualified lead is somebody who is raising their hand and just identifying that I'm in your market, right? And eventually, at some point, I may be interested in your offer. Now, the key term here is might be, maybe. And there is definitely value in acquiring more of those leads. It's a longer term focus. You are still building an asset, assuming you understand how to make offers to them, because you will never capitalize on those leads if you don't make offers to them. But let's assume you do know how to do that. There is value in attracting MQLs. However, the key term there is they might be interested. So at some point down the line, and we have no idea when that down the line actually happens, is they might be interested in working with you. So you have to have a runway in place. You have to be willing and able to invest the time into nurturing those people and developing that relationship. That's where marketing funnels come in. MQLs, lead generation funnels, right? On the flip side, and that's what long form webinars are meant to do. It's meant to take those people who are maybe problem aware or a lower level of awareness and give them some education, and at the end make a great offer and hopefully convert them. So on the flip side, we have SQLs, which are sales qualified leads, and a sales funnel attracts sales qualified leads. So what makes a sales qualified lead? An SQL is somebody who has raised their hand and has said that I am looking to make a buying decision, a yes or no buying decision, like with some form of urgency. So they have, number one, identified that they're in the market for a solution. And number two, they've identified that they're in the market for a solution right now. Okay. So that is what an SQL is. Everyone's market is comprised of SQLs and MQLs. And so SQL is comprised of about 3 to 10% of your market at any given time. So 3 to 10% of your market is going to be making that yes or no decision right now. And so the great thing is, if you make a compelling offer to them, like, they are willing to have a sales conversation with you. So that is where mini power offer and mini webinar funnels come into place. They are sales funnels to attract SQLs. Okay. So before we go any further, like, we clear on the difference there?
Perfect sense. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So now our messaging and our conversation with an SQL is very different than the MQL. Like, the MQL messaging is going to be, hey, sign up for my free training. Hey, sign up for this free cheat sheet, right? There's no urgency that is explained to them. When we go to a sales funnel messaging, it is the power offer, which is, I want to help you do X, Y, and Z now. Are you interested? Right? It is making that promise and attracting people who are in heat, right? In buying heat. And so the mini webinar is now taking all of your best stuff from, let's say, a traditional long form webinar, and we're cutting down all the fluff, right? Because fluff is not needed when you speak to somebody who's in the market to make a buying decision right now. The perfect analogy that I found online, I wish I came up with this, but like an MQL versus an SQL. Like, if you are in the mall, right, and somebody is walking by a store and they're doing some window shopping, right? Like, oh, okay, well, this is cool. They might walk into the store and they might browse some more, but they have, it's going to take a lot to convince them to buy something. Like, they have to find something that they like. They have to figure out if this is something they need right now. They have to figure out if it's within their budget. Right? There's probably a 3 to 5% chance that window shoppers are going to go in and actually buy something. Whereas an SQL is somebody who enters the mall and then enters your store and is immediately seeking out a sales associate and saying, hey, I'm responding to an offer. I'm responding to, like, or I got something that I need. Can you help me? Right? So they're actively in buying mode. Okay. So that's like the analogy that I use of MQL versus SQL. So when we have a mini webinar funnel, right, especially for high ticket offers, the number one currency that we're selling is time and urgency, because high ticket buyers, they value their time more than they value their money. They're willing to part with money to save time. And so, understanding that, we have to keep our sales message incredibly short and incredibly focused. So 10 to 15 minutes max.
Of the
right? And
entire
I'd say 15
webinar.
minutes.
Yeah.
Inside the mini webinar, 10 to 15 minutes max.
Got it.
So, it's not scheduled. It's just a pre-recorded video that somebody opts in and watches, right? After they've been framed that I've got an offer for you from the power offer. So the power offer leads to the mini webinar. And, essentially it's framed like this, like, hey, if you're interested in my offer, watch this quick explanation on how we can help you achieve that promise. And if it makes sense, then book a call. So that message is framed as a sales conversation. So they opt in, they go to the mini webinar, and that mini webinar is just meant to give them the need to know information about how you can fulfill on that promise. So it's really just designed to, showcase your authority, which you spend no more than 30 seconds on, because they really don't care about you. They care about what you can do for them, but they still do need to know that you are respectable and you're not some, I can trust you because I just found you on the internet.
A little bit of context in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So give a little bit of context. Exactly. Build a little bit of authority. But spend the most amount of the time on that video explaining how you're going to fulfill on this promise. And so what you really want to do is you want to throw stones at, because somebody who is solution aware, more than likely they've tried and failed, right? Or they are in the buying process and in the consideration phase of other solutions. So really what we want to do is we just want to explain why other solutions are bad and how our solution is different from other people's. So it is really just an us versus them positioning. It's one of the most effective mini webinar frameworks that we use. And for explanation purposes, for people who are just trying to wrap their head around this concept, that's all I want you to think about, right? So your message inside a mini webinar is really just meant to be, why is my solution the best solution out there? And why should they be paying attention to me? And that really comes down to, what are their options out there? Why do they suck? And why am I awesome? From a simplistic standpoint, that's what you do. And you can do that in 5 to 10 minutes. on average, 9 to 10 minutes is about what we shoot for. 15 minutes if you have to do a little bit more explaining, or you want to drop a couple of case studies in there, but like you can get laser focused in 10 minutes or less. You'd be surprised at what you can accomplish in such a short time frame. Now it takes a lot of work to simplify your message.
Yeah.
But that's all
I like that.
people need.
Yeah.
Now, when somebody registers for one of these mini webinars, when they land on the registration page, is it sort of up front, like, hey, this is only going to be 10 minutes of your time, or like how are you marketing to actually get them on the call?
Yep. So you can absolutely frame how long the video is, right? You can say, hey, watch this short 9-minute video so you can learn more about our process, right? You can frame it as a case study. So if you kind of if you frame that video as a case study, you can just say, hey, watch this case study and how we achieved X result. And if it makes sense, book a call, right? So everything is framed around, we're going to have a heart-to-heart conversation. Like, we're going to have a big boy conversation and just figure out if we can help you, right? So you do not want, like, nothing is buried. Nothing is hidden in this funnel. It is, you want to just be upfront and transparent, because the marketplace is going there. Like the internet marketing place, like, buyers and leads, like, they've lost trust, and they want to be told up front, like, what's going on, like what's going to happen. And especially with your high ticket buyers, like, the number one thing that you need to build with them is trust. Yeah. So just be upfront with them and let them know, listen, we're looking for clients and we want to know if we can help you or not. Let's
I feel like it's a level of respect in a way too. It's, for people who are busy, who value their time the most, in which most people, I think, genuinely do, but maybe can't afford it always. But you almost understand them more when you put something out there like this. It's like, hey, Joel knows exactly what I'm going through. Well, crap. Yeah, I need to at least chat with him and see what he's got, and if I'm any remotely interested in actually moving forward with something, I'm probably going to jump. I know I would jump on a mini webinar any day over a full length webinar, just for the time's sake. Yeah. It's like reading a big sales page. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Give me the cliff notes, and then let's chat.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to webinars right now, I think my feeling when I see a webinar, I see a Facebook ad for a webinar, I click over, you could tell when it's an automated webinar. If they're giving you 3 days and 3 times on each day, nobody's sitting there live doing that, right? But so you see those pages, and my first thought is like, oh, this is going to be, an hour, 90 minutes of my time. I'm just going to watch the replay on this thing later, and then I'll get the email and then decide at that point, do I even feel like watching the replay? And typically I never even get around to watching it. However, if I land it on a page and they're like, it's going to take 10 minutes, like, this isn't your typical webinar, I'm probably in. I'll probably be like, yeah, I could afford 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and we never frame it actually on the landing page to our customers, to our leads, as a webinar. Like, it's information. Hey, watch this quick video, watch this case study, whatever it is, because if I were to put webinar, I'd probably lose them.
Probably.
Because they have preconceived notions of what webinars are, and that's not what they want. They want to be told, what's in it for me? How is this different? And how do I contact you if I want more information? And
Yeah. Now, are they registering for like a specific time to watch it, or is it just opt in and here's the video?
It's just a video. Gotcha. So it's just an opt into a video. Call them video sales letter or whatever, but I always associate video sales letters with like selling low ticket supplements. Yeah. So that's why we call them mini webinars. But it's just a pre-recorded video, so there's no time registration, no date and time, and it's developing a sales funnel, a sales system, a sales process versus a marketing funnel. That's the biggest aha that I want everybody to get around their head is, that's how it's different from a long form webinar. It targets a completely different segment of your audience.
Yeah. You basically cut the fat from a lot of different things. It's funny. It's like, nope, don't do that. Don't need to do that. And it's almost like you've taken the decision fatigue way down, because you're just like, cool, here's what I got. Here's what I'll do for you. Here's my promise to you. It's almost like, it's just, and you're saying like, why this, why now? And, it's just kind of establishing all these parameters with the objections are just kind of handled right there. I guess, I'm curious about the next phase, like the application. Are there any key things that folks should kind of ask prior to a conversation when it's this kind of structure?
Yeah, there's definitely some tips and tricks that you want to be aware of with your qualification process. So like on your application form or your assessment form, however you want to call it, I always start with fewer questions before I it's like when I'm launching a brand new offer, like I want the path of least resistance, and an application form can provide resistance, right? Mm-hmm. So it's this delicate balance of like, okay, how do I increase the throughput to make sure that my offer is actually valid? Because if nobody's even applying, I have a bad offer.
Right.
So I always like to start out with like fewer questions, just so I get more throughput coming in. And then obviously, as I start having more of these conversations, more of these calls, then I'll start, I might add another question or another question or another question and just make sure that it's not throwing off my KPIs. Mm-hmm. The core goal of what we're trying to accomplish with an assessment form and any sort of pre-sales qualification process, because we actually do, we do more qualification on top of just the assessment form. So essentially what you want to figure out is, number one, is this actually urgent? So like, are you looking to make a yes or no decision right now? Because just because they went through the funnel does not mean that they're actually looking to make a yes or no decision right now. So we want to make sure we are getting them to say, yes, I'm looking to make a yes or no decision right now. So that's one of the things you want to ask. You also want to make sure that, they're ready to invest in themselves, right? And so there's a couple different ways that you can do that. During our pre-call qualification, like we will ask them, hey, or we will tell them, listen, nothing in here has been, I don't say this, but like, this is the explanation. Like we want them to know, like nothing in my funnel has said that this is going to be free. Like, we're looking for clients. With that being said, and there is an investment for our services to get this result. So with that being said, our fees range for, our programs or our fees or whatever you're selling, they range from insert your low price to insert your high price. Do you have a budget available to meet that level of investment or something like that? Or does your budget, does your budget allow for that level of investment? Does your budget currently allow for that level of investment? Very disarming, but also it gets your point across. Like, listen, if it's out of your budget, like there's no need to have a conversation. We'll cancel any calls that come through where they either ignore it or they tell us, no, that's, thanks for telling me, but that's out of my budget right now. Then finally, like I want them to actually admit that I want them to sell me on the fact on why we should be talking with them. That sounds kind of pretentious. And so the way that I do it is I want them to tell me that they prove to me that they watched my mini webinar, watched my training, right? Mm-hmm. So what I'm looking for, or the question that I ask in a few different, in general terms is like, hey, what about that our process makes you feel this is a good fit for you, right? So rather than saying, did you watch the video, which you can also ask, like in that there's no harm in asking that, but I like to ask, what about my methodology makes you feel this is the right fit for you?
I like that.
Because if it's not, again, there's no reason why we should have a call, right? If you don't think this is the right fit, that's fine. Just tell me right now and we'll cancel the call. No big deal. But if you do feel it's a good fit, prove to me that you're bought in, right? So I don't have to explain myself on the call. Prove to me that you're bought in. And what I'm looking for in that response is I want them to be repeating back some of my branded language. Oh, I love the concept of a power offer. Oh, I love the concept of the Tesla method. One of the things that we talk about. Oh, I love the concept of a mini webinar. It's like, I'm looking for them to repeat back some of the language that I've dropped in that training and those big aha moments. And if they repeat that back to me, like it's almost a layup sale. Like if they've admitted that, like, yes, I've got the budget. Yes, I'm making a yes or no decision right now. And I'm repeating back some of the branded language that you've told me, like they're sold. I mean, they're just about sold. Now, the only thing that they have a question is this going to work for me? Like, will this work for my situation? And that is best suited on a call, especially when they're coming from cold traffic. But now this isn't a sales call. This is a Q&A call. It's like, okay, I'll tell you we'll hop on the call and, I'll let you know if I feel like this is going to work depending on your situation. But that's the sales process. That's every sales process in some form or another. We've just found out how to codify it and make it extremely effective for for these types of offers.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of persuasion built throughout the whole thing in a way. You're getting them to give it right back to you after they've gone through and sat just through like 15 minutes or so. But I love it, man. And yeah, I mean, this could be used in so many ways, and this is why we wanted to bring you on, because it just seems like an not easy, but like a fast way to test, but also bring in some cash if someone needs it, or maybe to start some new venture to test. I mean, there's a lot of ways and reasons why you would do this. So
yeah,
man.
And so the flow, I just want to sort of reiterate the flow to make sure I've got it right. So you're doing like a Facebook post or a Facebook ad that sort of breaks down your power offer, right? So within 24 hours, if I built a webinar for you that was guaranteed to make you money, are you in, kind of thing? Does that ad link over to where they can sort of opt in for the mini webinar? And then the mini webinar either has a link, or directly below the video, you've got an application, and that's pretty much the whole funnel, right?
Yep, that's the entire funnel. So it goes ad to landing page, and the landing page is super simple. It's just a headline. It's like, do you want this promise? Yes or no? If yes, enter your name, email, and phone number, or name and email, whatever you want to collect. They put that in, and that takes them to the next page. So the next page is the mini webinar page. So that video is just going to play with a headline and a button down below that says, if this sounds good to you, book a call. You do want on that page to also be littered with testimonials if you've got them. If not, no harm, no foul. Testimonials will definitely help, but you don't need them. And so, it's a sales funnel. It's a sales page. So like, put all your common sales page elements, testimonials, proof, etc. Build your authority, where you've been featured, all that stuff. Put that on the mini webinar page to get them to apply and book a call. And then it's just a link to the application. And then if you fill out the application, they schedule a call. And after they schedule a call, you send them to a thank you page, like a confirmation page, and you can have a video on there. You can have a brochure. There's all sorts of different things that you can do, but that's the flow.
Very cool,
man. Well, thank you for sharing that flow.
Because,
I mean, I think this is going to help a lot of folks, man. And is this something that you offer as a service as well? Because I definitely want to send them your way if you're constructing these for folks.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, so we run the webinar agency, and so we do all these different types of webinars, mini webinars, long form webinars. We talk about where, so like long form webinars still do work, right? It's just they have to be put in the right place for the right business. So if somebody who's got an existing high 6 or 7 figure business and they want to consider a long form webinar, perfect. Like if they're in the scaling phase, right, then they can consider a long form webinar. But if they're just launching a brand new offer, like it's overkill. It's absolutely overkill. So right now it's all about making sure that the client is getting the right solution for the right stage in their business. And so, but no doubt about it, mini webinars have been super hot lately. Nice. And that's it's probably 80% of our business doing mini webinars.
Wow.
They're faster to get launched. We launch them in 10 days. We record them for you. We build the funnel for you. I mean, so we can get these done like 10 times faster than a long form webinar.
Oh my God. So, it's like a win for everybody.
It is. It really is. I mean, it was what helped us scale, because there's just so much capacity that you can take when you're doing long form webinars. I mean, they take multiple revisions.
Yeah.
It's like writing a book. It really is like writing a book. And,
well, and the fact that you have a mini webinar, it's less things and elements that could potentially what you have to test or tweak. And because with the long webinar, it's endless amounts of things. So this is just really cool. I like the pared down version and the time and place of it. You can use both. So the webinar agency definitely. What's the website again? Just thewebinaragency.com.
That's it.
Perfect.
You nailed it.
Right on.
So we're actually redesigning that to be our current webinar agency website is kind of embarrassing. So we are I don't know when this is going to go live. So you may see the old one or you may see the new one, because we're in the process of revamping it right now. Actually, it might not even be live because anyway. So
I liked your joelerway.com. That your main website looked really good. I was on there the other day, I think.
Which one was that?
Well, this one. Yeah.
joelerway.com.
joelerway.com.
That's probably a better spot to send people is joelerway.com right now, because that will link to the webinaragency.com, but we're redesigning and rebuilding the webinar agency, be more simplified, and also explaining this whole webinar model in better detail than what is currently explained, which is not explained on my current website. So anyway.
joelerway.com. Yeah, no, I went there. I was like looking you up. I was like, oh man, I really like your website. Super clean. I'm a little biased to yellow and black, just our show colors. Yeah. But cool, man. I mean, this is super fun. And of course, you have your own couple podcasts we were talking about, Sold with Webinars and Experts Unleashed. Yep. So those are still going. You said they're kind of here and there, but definitely, I know we've been on Sold with Webinars a while back, and it was good times.
Yeah, so they're still alive and kicking. So it's been a while since I just released a podcast on Experts Unleashed with Mike Dillard recently, and actually that's being simulcasted on both podcasts. But nice. Sold with Webinars is much more active. Experts Unleashed, it's my passion project, so I don't even monetize that one. It just helps me get connected with people that I want to get connected to. They get exposed to my audience. So I have plans to rebrand Experts Unleashed in the near future, probably to my own personal brand podcast, like Joel Erway podcast. But yeah, there's like 90 episodes on that podcast. It's still a great podcast, but it's less active than Sold with Webinars. I think there's 160 episodes on Sold with Webinars. I do that twice a week. Sometimes 3 times a week, sometimes once a week. So that's a little bit more sporadic, but definitely more frequent.
Very cool. And you did just set up a new studio. I'm curious, what equipment are you on right now? I can tell you got the Shure SM7B, I'm guessing, but then other than that, what else are you using? What camera are you on? What are you using?
Yeah, so I'm on the Fuji X-T3.
Okay.
I wonder if I can show you. Let me see if I can do this. This is cool if I can.
Don't break it.
If you're listening on the audio version, go check out the YouTube version for what we're seeing.
Hustleandflowchart.tv.
So I hope this doesn't unplug anything. So I've got 2 monitors. Come on. Oh, turn. Okay, so there's one right there.
Ooh, nice. The vertical monitor.
It's flickering.
And then there's... Okay, so I can't turn that anymore, but there's another one that is overhead and it's horizontal. Let me fix this a little bit. Yeah, overhead and horizontal. And then I've got in the back, the Samsung, I think it says Samsung curved monitor, like 45 inches that is completely not utilized.
It looks beautiful though.
Yes, it does.
It's not even
it should look more beautiful when I actually turn it on. But I've got, some boom arms connected over here. I've got for a light, so a light's shining right there. What else? So I've got Edifier speakers. They were like $100. I'm probably like $6,000 deep in equipment.
Yeah. That's not bad though.
I'm actually looking at an awesome setup. So I don't know if you guys follow Caleb, DSLR video shooter on YouTube.
No.
His name is Caleb. I don't remember who it is, but DSLR shooter or DSLR video shooter.
I've seen his videos. I've never actually watched them, but they've been suggested to me in the past.
He's awesome.
Yeah,
he's awesome. So that's where I got like a lot of my
Caleb Pike, P-I-K-E.
Yes, okay. Caleb Pike. That's him. So he has just awesome studio setups for podcasters and video guys.
Nice.
So I took a lot of what I learned from him to get, these Visa arms, and I'll take a couple pictures and send them to you so you can see my full setup. But nice. So like this light that I have right here was from him. Like my entire setup, I've got a crank desk that manually raises and drops. I've got a power desk that goes up and down behind me. But anyway, I learned a ton from him. I probably binged like 15 hours of his content.
Yeah, that's how I was. So ours is very inspired by Peter McKinnon. I don't know if you've ever seen any of his videos on YouTube, but it's very inspired by that. And we watched a lot of Think Media too. A lot of our gear and stuff came recommended from that channel.
From Sean,
Yeah, Sean Cannell,
Man, I love this. Yeah, it's easy to go down the rabbit hole, but any way that we could shortcut for folks, like whenever we see a sweet setup, we're like, all right, we got to break this down.
Anybody who wants to recreate what we're doing, there's 3 channels right there they can check out.
Yeah.
Well, so what people don't understand is like once you go down this rabbit hole of like setting up a studio, it's way more than just the equipment. Because like what comes with equipment? Freaking wires out the wazoo.
Oh, yeah.
So then it's like, okay, well now I got to figure out how to do cable management, and that's its own specialty. Like you can find thousands of videos on cable management, and then you're making sure you have enough cable length, and you know, like it is. I'm actually very proud of my cable management because I used to have wires going everywhere, and I spent probably 8 hours like actually doing cable management. It is so worth it. But cable management, then you gotta get the right connectors, and like it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
And then if you go to the editing side, that's a whole different industry, right?
God,
like when you get into color grading and the different video editing software, and
it's too much for us.
Yeah, we don't need to go down those rabbit holes, but I've been down all of those rabbit holes lately.
Well, and lighting. So it took me. So I had spent $3,000 on this damn camera, and like I couldn't get it to look good, and I'm like. The entire film industry is a scam. Like I was at that point. I'm like, everyone is lying to me. Like, everyone is lying to me. And like I couldn't get autofocus to come on. And like I ended up having to call one of my friends, like, can you help me get this damn autofocus to work? And so we finally got that to work. Then I had to get lighting set up, and lighting is like everything.
Lighting makes all the difference. Yep.
Yeah.
So like what I learned is that you have to essentially just sit in a pitch dark room and turn on as minimal lights as possible. Like that's how I got like an actual setup to look decent, because if I had my room lights on, which they're never on, like the setup looks horrible. And so like that was the secret. I had to turn all the lights off, and then just like one by one, just turn one light on and see how that looked. Then another light on and see how that looked, and cover up my windows so there's no light coming through the windows. And anyway, lighting is its own specialty.
Yeah,
it's crazy how one little light in the corner, because with this office we're still trying to figure it out. It's like, wait, hold on, don't turn those on, because that puts a weird like out of balance look. I don't know. It's just, you're right. It's like the weird nuances, but.
Yeah, and if we point, like there's a light there and a light there, if it's pointed right at me, it looks weird. But if we cross angle them so that light's pointing at Joe and that light's pointed at me, then it looks a little bit better. You know, so like we've got all these things, but those lights are casting massive shadows down here. So now we got to figure out how to light this better. So, we're down the rabbit hole deep right now.
Yes. Yeah. So we're like video buddies. I mean, we're down the same rabbit holes, and you know, completely lost and trying to dig our way out and just keep our head above water. And
then it's so much fun.
Don't even get started with like microphones. That was another like 4-month project for me. It was like, you know, I bought this mic. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I realized I needed to buy a cloud lifter, which that was another trip to another order from Amazon. And then I had to get the right cables. Like, oh God.
What is a cloud lifter? All right, Google that. Yeah.
You buy a mic and then it's XLR and you're like, this doesn't plug into my computer.
Exactly. Oh my God. Yeah. Wow. Well, if you send over photos, maybe we'll throw them in the show notes or something so people can see a little studio tour from Joel's place. So,
yes.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'll send them over.
This has been fun. I mean, we covered a lot, and as always, it's a great time, man. So I can't wait to share it. And go check out, if you're looking for a webinar, get it all produced. I mean, this is the man. So go to joelerway.com. There we go. That's what we decided.
And eventually the webinar agency again. It's been live for 5 years, but we're just revamping it. So
depending on when you're listening to this.
There you go. We got them both. Cool, Joel. Well, I appreciate your time, brother. Great talking.
All right. Thanks, guys. Anytime.
Hey, we're back again with an outro, and there's some music that we're fading out here manually fading out. You're so dramatic, Matt.
Yeah, the funny thing is Jacob could totally do that for us in like post-processing.
Well, you just saved him some time.
Yeah,
so
now you don't have to fade that out.
This is true. I was a fan of Joel's processes here, his structure, and the fact that he simplified the selling process dramatically and basically put all the obvious pieces out there. It's like, I dig it, because like right when I initially heard about these webinars, I didn't know about the power offer concept, but they play hand in hand, of course.
Yeah, I mean, when we were talking to Brad about it, and Brad Costanzo, and he was telling us you got to get him on the show. He was kind of explaining this power offer concept to us, and that to me was so simple, but psychologically, when I like was thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, but that seems like really effective. You're basically making a no-brainer offer, maybe not always putting the price on it. He gave an example from Rob Kosberg where he actually did put the price on it, but it sounds like for the most part, he doesn't put a price on it, but it's like a no-brainer. Like, hey, if I can build this for you and I can do it in the next 24 hours and it's guaranteed to make you more money than you spend on it, would you be interested in me building that for you? It's like, it's such a no-brainer. I mean, you don't know what the cost is, but he's basically saying, look, you'll have it in 24 hours and you'll make more off of it than what it cost you to have it made. Is that interesting to you?
Yeah.
It's like, who would say no to that?
Yeah. It's like I mentioned on there, it's kind of like persuasion in a way. And then you get them to kind of do these like micro commitments along the way.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that a couple of those questions that Joel was saying on the application, on the vetting process there, would your budget allow for like, oh, that's an interesting wording. I like that.
Yeah. I remember when I was working with Travis Sego, which I know Joel was actually a student of Travis's as well.
Yeah.
He was a big proponent of putting those qualifying questions in there. I remember one of his questions was like, if this is going to, I'm trying to remember how he worded it, but it was something to the effect of like, this is roughly the cost of like a family vacation for 4 or something like that.
So he put it in context.
He's like, would an expense of that size, be prohibitive to you or something like that,
Yeah.
And he had you work in something like that. But yeah, there was sort of like some sort of contrasting element, or not a contrasting element, but some sort of like, example of like, this is what
it's like a relating thing. It's putting almost like this. It's contextual. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I would spend money on that thing, so here's this thing. I can compare it to that.
And he doesn't typically put the price in the actual questionnaire, right? He doesn't say like,
it was a range, is what Joel said.
Is $2,000 going to be too expensive for you? Like, you don't put it that way, because once you get somebody on the phone, there's the chance to offer them higher end packages. You might get somebody on the phone and find out that like this person wants to pay $200,000 for you to just run their business for them or something, and you could go hire somebody to do the elements that you would do and pay them $50,000 a year, and you make $100. The point being, you don't want to put the price on the application and set that expectation of the exact price, because you might be able to offer them more.
Well, I was even thinking, there is almost a choke point, like what Joel was saying, to where you can only maybe take on so many of these people. If you're doing a service or a consulting coaching package or whatever. But I was also thinking like, well, you can use this. Like we were talking about affiliate offers. Like, that's a one application that you could potentially use a mini webinar. Obviously the pricing might be different, but it depends on the affiliate offer. Also, I was thinking about, you can do a kind of a hybrid model. Maybe you are wanting to run someone's business or offer to do something for like a rev share. What's to say you can't put that out there as maybe it's a hybrid? Then like, okay, there's a flat fee plus there's a potential percentage, or maybe that comes a little later. There's ways to scale from this interaction. And the thing I like about this is you're getting the hottest people, the people that are in heat, and they're in buyer heat, and they're just ready to solve their problems, and they're aware of it.
Yeah, I'm glad you clarified.
Well, just a reference back to Joel.
Yeah.
And it's a way to kind of extend that relationship, because if you solve their initial problem, it's always easier to continue that if they like you and trust you and you're getting them results. Well, keep expanding on that. So it could be a great way to bring your best buyers to you quickly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just the affiliate example, I think that, that is another powerful way to use this. We didn't actually talk about this with Joel, but it was kind of something we talked about as soon as we stopped recording. We're like, I bet we can do this with affiliate products. You make this promise, maybe the promise is something around your bonuses for that affiliate product. Like if I was to give you X and I wasn't to charge you for that thing, but it would do Y and Z for you, would you be interested? When they click over, you have a video that basically talks about why all the options suck, except for the affiliate product that you're promoting, and then below that you link them off to your affiliate product.
Yeah.
Right. And that to me is so simple, and I just love the simple terms that he used too. Like I love those simple terms of like, the point of the video is basically to show them all the other options and why all those other options suck compared to the one you're offering them.
Pretty
and I'm
much.
like, that sort of simplified explanation is awesome. Like that just makes it so clear. Like, here's why all the other options suck. Here's our option. Here's why it's the best. Like if you can convey that in the video, you're gold.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that all people need anyway?
Yeah.
It's like they're just trying to find a solution. They don't need to like figure out everything about it. Just cut straight to the chase. It's 80-20 of it all.
Well, it's like when we were looking for cameras, right? I posted on Facebook something about like I'm looking at the Sony A6400 and I'm looking at the Canon, I think it was an M50, and I was trying to compare between those two. And Charlie Fowler came on and he was like, you don't want the Canon, and here's why. And he gave these reasons why the Canon wasn't as good.
Yeah, he was like, that one sucks. And you were like, but he was like, nope.
Yeah, and so, but we were basically sold by like taking away the worse options, right? Like we basically had several options we were considering, and based on his feedback, he took away some options and said, this is not what you want, this is not what you want, this is not what you want. And so we landed on this one, the A6400, and I feel like that's kind of what he's doing in video in a sort of systematic, methodical way. He's going and saying, here's the options that are out there. Here's why you don't want this one. You don't want this one. You don't want this one. This is the one you want. And that's all the video needs to do.
There you go. Yeah. And it's just inching them closer to what the thing is that they really want anyway. And they're aware of. Yeah, man. Well, I'm sure there's a lot more applications to this, but I think we'll be running some of these too. Yeah. Probably some affiliate stuff, maybe a little pod hacker stuff. I don't know. We'll play around here and see what we can do.
Yeah.
So good stuff. Oh, the other thing that I thought was really cool was the MQLs and the SQLs, and the difference in thinking of leads. So the marketing qualified leads and the sales qualified leads, and how, it's like those long forms are the MQLs primarily, because it's going to take longer and probably a lot more expensive to convert those leads. And then you have the SQLs that are just ready to go, the seller qualified leads. And I think just having that distinction in your mind when you're building something out, or maybe an intention of what are you trying to do when you're releasing an offer? Like, is it more suited for the or the MQLs, or is it SQL? And really having that intention from the get-go, I think, is super smart.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's normally discussed. It's typically is like the default is just go to MQLs.
Yeah.
And kind
just
of
get as many people on the list as you can.
Yeah. Build a list. And it's like, well, just remember, there's always a percentage, like he was saying, what was it, like 3 to 10% are always like on your list that are ready to take an action of some sort. And I remember Perry Marshall, I think, was saying the same exact thing. And then there's even on top of that, like an upsell, there's always like another 10+% that are ready to take another thing. So it's, just identifying folks as super powerful.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Good stuff all around.
Yes, sir. And speaking of webinars.
Yeah, I know. It was kind of laid up for us here, huh?
Yeah. One platform that you can do webinars on is Easy Webinar. And Easy Webinar, they'll do the automated webinars, the hybrid webinars, the live webinars, all the webinars. They do all the webinars.
I'm sure they can even handle these mini webinars, even though you don't really need the tech to do a mini webinar. Yeah. But saying that, it does have the tech to do any type of webinar you want to do.
Well, what you do is you set it up, if you're going to use Easy Webinar for it, you set it up as a just-in-time webinar. So when they register, it just takes them to where they can watch it right now.
Good point. So that would allow you to build the landing page at the registration page in Easy Webinar.
Yep.
Then the live or the video page would be that, like a just-in-time thing, and then you could deck out all the cool stuff below it, link to an application.
Yeah.
And then from there, you're on your way. Yeah. And then see all the stats and all that cool stuff as well.
Something like Easy Webinar, you can always just kind of word it in a different way. You can word it in a way that's like, we shot a video for you. It's only 10 minutes. We recommend watching it now. But if you can't watch it now, we gave you some options of times to schedule it in just to make sure you're going to watch it. Right. Yeah. And so you could kind of, you don't word it as that webinar. You word it as like, watch it now. But if you can't, why not just put it on your calendar?
So all the features are baked in an Easy Webinar.
Yes,
That's
sir.
What's nice. So if you want to do the page stuff, have the video in place, have follow-ups, the stats, that's why Easy Webinar is so damn cool.
That is why Easy Webinar is so damn cool. EasyWebinar.com/hustle. They're hooking you up. Big discount for Hustle and Flowchart listeners.
Hustle. I don't know what I'm saying. Hustle.
EasyWebinar.com/hustle.
That's it. All right.
Two other calls to action here.
Two more.
Yes,
go for it.
Hustleandflowchart.tv is the YouTube channel. You're probably hearing, if you're listening to the audio version, we're talking about our studio. We're talking about Joel's studio. At one time, he was trying to turn his camera and show us like what he's got and stuff. Well, you can't really see that if you're just listening on iTunes or Spotify. So make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel as well to get some of the visuals that we're doing on the podcast. Now that we've got this new studio,
you're missing out on some of the stuff.
Yeah, you're missing out on some of the visual elements that we're doing in these videos. So make make sure you go to hustleandflowchart.tv, subscribe to the channel, like every single video we've ever put out. Click that bell icon. What are all the calls to action they give?
Smash the
bell. Click the like. Press the subscribe.
Tell all your friends and family.
Follow.
Sit on the follow. Yes.
Put our videos in playlists. Do all the things.
I don't know what else. We don't know YouTube as well as we should yet, but we're doing more on there. And yeah,
hustleandflowchart.tv.
Yes. And then the other call to action would probably be make sure to get the notes of this episode. So we covered a lot, of course, and multiple strategies. If you go to flowchartgroup.com within 2 weeks, you'll get the notes for free, and just plug in your email address when the questions pop up for you in that Facebook group, because you get access to the Facebook group too. It's where we're hanging out, flowchartgroup.com. And, you know what, I gotta throw another one out there. Share this with your folks, maybe not your parents, but,
them too. Why not?
Yeah, if they're interested in selling some cool stuff, if they're business owners, I mean, your dad could maybe use a mini webinar in his business.
Yeah, he never would, but he could.
Never would. You're right. But go share it with someone you think that can use some of these mini webinars in their lives. I think they'd appreciate that.
Yes.
They'll remember you for that.
Everybody can use a mini webinar in their life.
Right? So go share it around. Tell it your friends. And thanks for listening.
Bye-bye. Bye. Thanks, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Hustle and Flowchart podcast. Before taking the time to listen, we want to give you something a little bit special. Every single episode that we do, we actually have somebody on our team take notes. We basically have a Cliff's Notes version of every episode where you can go and find all of the tips and tactics that they laid out, all of the resources that they laid out, all the good stuff from this episode. We actually have a nice simple notes version that you can find on our website. So go to evergreenprofits.com, find this episode that you just listened to, and give us your email address and we'll send you the notes. Thanks for listening.
Go get it.
Wiki.